Bobby went out for a joyride with my best girl, left me at the party. He was my best friend, and I miss him. It was almost June, and the three-quarter moon illuminated the rain-soaked streets like a candy wrapper. I guess that's why Bobby had his lights off. Tear-assing through them back streets of town, where me and Bobby tear-assed so many times before. Sometimes with my best girl, and sometimes Bobby had him one too. But this night, he banked that curve just a little too hard, and that 442 went airborne. Hit a telephone pole and split in two. Bobby's skull was split right in two, and the girl pinned in her seat, partially embedded in the dashboard. And for the next 20 minutes, the only sound of the night were the sounds of her screams, and the sound of the wheel still spinning. In a little while, the ambulance came, and the sound of its siren mixed with the sound of the screaming girl and the spinning wheel. But when the story was told the next day at the graduation ceremony, everyone said that when the ambulance came, the paramedics could still hear Freebird, still playing on the stereo. You know, it's a very long song. This spoken word narration is taken from the first track off the album Southern Rock Opera by the band Drive-By Truckers, a Southern rock band that was first described to me as a thinking man's Lynyrd Skynyrd. And it's a concept album that deserves your attention. Hello everybody, this is TJR, and if this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. If not, welcome back. Originally released 23 years ago, in 2001, Southern Rock Opera by the Drive-By Truckers is described by the band as a period piece, a love letter to the 70s arena rock of their youth. It's also about a fictional band called Betamax Guillotine, a band whose name is taken from an urban myth regarding the death of Lynyrd Skynyrd's lead singer, Ronnie Van Zant. It is also a coming-of-age story, and it also deals with the concept referred to in one of the songs as the duality of the Southern thing, a phrase that band member Patterson Hood describes as dealing with both the pride and shame that many Southerners feel about their heritage. The album begins with our main character's best friend and bandmate getting killed in a car crash. The album ends with the fictional band going down in a plane crash. Upon its release, the Southern Rock Opera received very strong critical acclaim from the music press. Prior to this, the band had only released 2 albums, but it was this album, as the band puts it, that changed their lives. It enabled them to go from touring in a van, playing punk rock clubs, and being so poor that they had to ask each night if someone in their audience would let them crash at their place, to a band that could tour in a bus, start playing larger and larger venues, and tour Europe. Back in 2001, it was the first album that I knew them by. In 2024, the band has released 17 albums, and I have collected pretty much every single one of them. The Southern Rock Opera has been now re-released in both an expanded 3 CD edition and in a vinyl box set. Now earlier, I mentioned that this band had first been described to me by the music press as a thinking man's Lynyrd Skynyrd. And there is some argument to be made for this, but sonically speaking, I would describe this album as sounding more like Neil Young in his Godfather of Grunge best. I'm going to go ahead here and just read from the hype sticker on the album here. It reads here, Southern Rock Opera, 3 guitars or a life of crime. That's an actual line of lyric from one of the songs. 3 CDs, including new songs, and 4 songs recorded live in 2001. Remixed, remastered, and resequenced for maximum sonic impact. And so, first of all, I think now is a good time to kind of discuss the differences here. I have, of course, my original copy that I bought in 2001. And this one here was a 3-way fold-out here. You had the 2 CDs. There's also this little cutout here. I kind of like how this is designed. This is the image of the owl on the front cover. And in the new liner notes, which I'll discuss in a moment, there is a lot more explanation given about the significance of this owl and how it plays into the story of the album that I really appreciated. The original here, of course, has a booklet which contains lyrics and, of course, the usual liner notes material. Let me now show you the new expanded 3 CD edition, which I purchased, a lot less expensive than the vinyl set. I would have loved to have gotten the vinyl set, but just a little too expensive. This is a multi-level, here we go, fold out here. We've got 3 CDs, and we've got a new booklet that has expanded liner notes. So first of all, let me just discuss the remastering and remixing. They did both. And I compared it to my original CD. Definitely an improvement in sound. If you have the original, you're going to be pleased with the audio upgrade you get with this version. If you don't have the original, this is the one to get because the audio is much better. There's a lot more clarity, much better soundstage, much more room between the instruments. There are things that were recorded that I can hear much better now that I couldn't hear in the original mix. The liner notes, the expanded liner notes on this one, go into a tremendous amount of detail about the genesis of the album, the genesis of its concept, the actual writing of the album, which Patterson Hood of the Drive-By Truckers describes as a great deal of fun. The writing, he said, was tremendously fun, some of the most fun he's ever had in his life. But then he goes on to describe that the actual recording of the album as being pure hell, and that it almost broke up the band. But there was that part of it, but then there was the whole aspect of once it was recorded, they had to pay to get it mixed and mastered and then replicated. And this was all before Kickstarter and GoFundMe, and they actually started their first website and basically put out the message that they needed investors to help them with it. And they were able to, make the album themselves, release it themselves. And then, of course, the press was so incredible for this album that then they did get signed to a label that was able to help them re-release it moving forward. And the band has been kind of on an upward trajectory ever since then. My only real complaint about this expanded edition involves, of course, the booklet with the expanded liner notes, which I'll show you. It's right here. While it has all this great information, it doesn't have any of the original lyrics that were in the first booklet. I guess maybe their thinking was that, anybody who's buying this expanded edition already is familiar with the album and knows the lyrics by now. But I will say that you can, if you've never heard this album before, you can, of course, go to their website. All the lyrics are there as well. There's even track-by-track commentary on the website, too, also. And by the time this album was released in 2001, I would pretty much say that the era of rock stars had already come to a close. And I really think that if this album had been released, say, in the 80s, where the 70s weren't that distant of a memory, I think this album would have done a whole lot better and would have been much bigger. Which is why I wanted to talk about it today, since there has been this new re-release, which just came out the other week. Now, at the opening of this video, I read some lyrics from the song's opening track entitled Days of Graduation. I'd like to close this video by reading you some of the lyrics from the closing track entitled Angels and Fuselage. The engines have stopped now. We all know we're going down. Last call for alcohol. Sure wish I could have another round. And I'm scared shitless of what's coming next. Scared shitless. These angels I see in the trees are waiting for me. Waiting for me. This is TJR, and if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit like, hit subscribe, and hit the bell notification icon so you never miss a video. A big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Patreon supporters do receive exclusive weekly videos not available on this channel. If you'd like to be a Patreon supporter, please go to patreon.com/TJR the original. If you can't, you can always leave a one-time super thanks for any video that I post. That helps a great deal. And if you can't do that, I understand. You can help this channel by just clicking like. Clicking like is free, and it goes a long way. I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I'm curious to know what you think of this album. Have you heard it before? And if so, share your thoughts. If you've never heard it before, what are your thoughts now? Do you think you might check it out? I hope you do. They're a great band, and this is a great album that deserves your attention. Everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you all stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye-bye.